I'm gonna take myself, a heart of revolution, gonna make my contribution. I can handle myself. Don't fake yourself, be part of the solution. Don't be hateful. This knowledge puts hairs on your chest. Hands on your chest. Hands on your chest. Hands on your chest. Put hands on your chest.
Hello and welcome to the Mailman with Campbell and Gary, or Cam and Gaz if you prefer. Episode 2. So thank you for joining, for coming back, for viewing again. And today we have another fun-filled episode full of manliness and bit of joke, bit of lightheartedness, bit of seriousness, hopefully some funny, interesting stories and all that jazz, right? So welcome, Gaz. How you doing, mate?
Really well, thanks, buddy. How are you?
Good.
Just mailman, having a good chat and bringing up a few topics that are fun, interesting, and a bit more lighthearted in this. Why not have a bit of a laugh in this?
Very serious,
so seriously all the time.
It's very
everything's
serious,
so serious.
Yeah, and I mean, I think they want it to be serious, right? Because when you're serious, you're in a state of stress, right? So you can't think properly. You know, when you're lighthearted, you can just let it go, right? You know, don't hold on to things. So, I mean, we know, right? Everything's an agenda, basically. So, the only way out is to think for yourself. And so hopefully we'll get a few insights out there. And of course, guys and gals, please leave us your comments. Let us know what you think. Any questions, even any topics you want us to broach. Leave us links. Leave us a message down below. And I think you want to talk about smelly men, don't you, Gaz?
Yeah, and we've got some good interviews coming up. We've got some great guys that are going to come on the show and have a chat with us. So that's going to be fun. But in the meantime, Cam and I have a lot to share. We over the years that we've known each other, it's been an interesting ride. Even how we formulated the Mailman podcast show, it came out of a time where, Cam and I have both been through some interesting stuff, and we just felt the need to not only, I guess, do it for ourselves, but do it for every other guy out there who's, we're all in the same boat, so to speak. So
yeah.
Why not?
It's a common thing, isn't it? People around our young, sprightly age. A lot of people in the last couple of years have, relationships have broken up, right? So there's actually a lot of people in our age group at the moment that are single. Obviously, a lot of them would rather be with a partner, but with what's going on, how do you find one? I mean, it's crazy out there. And I mean, even before the whole thing, it was still building up that this massive expectation, and now it's just off the charts with a lot of people people need to have the right job, earn the right money, have the right car, have the right body, wear the right clothes, vote for the right side of everything, right? And people seem to have these checklists. And I don't know about you guys, but if I go out on a date and some girl pulls out a notepad and starts checking things off, I'm getting up and leaving.
Well, mate, funnily enough, it's happened to me, and it's and it's intuition that I never listened to in myself to sort of, but everything's a learning curve. The quest we are on is to keep asking questions, and the interesting thing, mate, at 45 years old, I'm still learning who I am, and the funny thing is, we're searching. Like you said, everyone's searching to be with someone. Now, the thing that I've been thinking about, happiness comes from within, from the womb to the tomb. You're born alone, you're going to die alone. You can get a few couples in between. That's great, But I find that people can often be band-aids. And it's happened to me a few times where the band-aids are just ripped off in such a harsh way and it leaves you to think what just happened, and for anyone else out there this has happened to, it's interesting because, mate, even when I was I'm single now, and I was single a few years ago. I was in a relationship for a couple of years there during COVID, that time, and I was upfront about my beliefs from the beginning and what I know and so forth. So I think that's really important to keep doing that. I'm not going to harp on about relationships and too much. We're here to be positive. But one thing I think is hilarious, mate. I just want to say, don't look for anything. Don't look for a relationship, mate. It's really unhealthy.
Yeah.
And trust me, if you're a cool dude and you're just doing your thing, and you meet a girl who you think's really cool, and you find out, like, for example, she's on Tinder, you're like, what? It's not something. If you're, and roles reversed, it's the same thing. If a girl meets you and you're on Tinder and she's got a shit together and she's a cool chick, and you know what I mean, and they wouldn't look twice at someone like yourself, mate. So if you're on Tinder or anything like that, get off it. Find this, this is my advice. Get out there and learn yourself, find yourself. And when you're on that path, people come to you. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
So, and then you have choices who you want to be with, because people will come into your life who the universe is sending you, these people. And just a quick funny story, Cam, mate. I was at the coffee shop the other day, and this guy, he's obviously not a real man, and he doesn't watch the Mailman podcast. And he's there ordering a coffee, and my little ears twigged in, and he's asking this friend of mine behind the counter who makes the coffees advice on his Tinder profile. And he asked her to read it. Can you read it and go over it? And I just thought, mate, this guy is I don't want to say it, I don't swear.
What, so
anymore.
You're not telling me the girl didn't look at his photo, read his bio, and then go, oh crap, let's go on a date, I found him. And telling me Tinder.
No, she was like, yeah, I'll help you with your bio. Like,
didn't work.
I'll help you with your bio. Let's have a read.
You're on Tinder.
These searches, man, it's so sad.
It's sad. It's I mean, yeah, it's just sad. I mean, the way I look at it is, if you're searching for anyone, then you really need to start searching for yourself, really, right? I mean, if you're looking for someone, that's a different thing. But when you're looking for someone, you're looking for traits, right? So work out what those traits are. What are you looking for? And then sit down and be real and go, okay, what kind of a man do I need to be to attract that kind of a woman, right? And then become that man, and they will pop in, right? You're not going to get anything sitting down on your couch crying and going, oh my God, all the good women are gone, or, filling out my Tinder account or whatever. Work out what you want, and then who you need to be to get that kind of person. I mean, because you're only going to get, a partner at the same level that you are, right? Everyone thinks they're going to get these partners who are going to change their world. And they're going to show them all these new exciting things, and everything's going to happen. Where's the proof? How often have you seen that? Because we know what happens. Two, lonely, desperate people get together and they just do the same stuff. Nothing, right? If you have a life beforehand, then you'll have a life afterwards in a relationship. If you have no life outside a relationship, you'll have no life inside a relationship. It's all to do with you. So get yourself, and if you are single, and if you've been single for a while, maybe have a good hard look at yourself, right? And ask, is the problem in me? Let's be men about this, right? Is there things that we need to change to become, more attractive? Maybe we need to get the skinny jeans off. Maybe we've got traits that maybe we're just looking too desperate, right? Women don't want a desperate man.
Get the skinny jeans. Sorry, man, that was awesome. The skinny jeans comment, I love it. I've got skinny jeans, bro. I wear them. I don't wear them
I've got.
I don't have them too tight because I just don't want to make other guys feel uncomfortable. I have great legs, mate, and
Me too.
to just show them off all the time,
That's what I was going to
it's
say.
not fair on other guys.
I agree. I agree. I mean, I'm the same. See, we're caring guys.
You can relate.
The bit of a caveat is a woman bought my skinny jeans, so that's my excuse. But they're not too skinny.
Oh,
and underneath it, I don't have skinny legs. If you got skinny legs, don't wear skinny. If you got skinny arms, don't get a sleeve. Don't get a sleeve tattooed on a skinny arm. Don't do that. Then you can never go to the gym, guys. Just don't do it. Get big arms, then get the tattoo.
oh, so funny.
Skinny legs, man.
I remember in the 90s, it was funny that everyone used to go to the gym and just train the upper body. No one used to do the legs. So all these dudes,
cartoon dog that's just all
walking around like this was full on, like skinny legs, and the upper body was, and they're all on the juice as well. Yeah. But yeah, I remember a friend of mine, I said to him, man, like, don't you train the legs? And he's like, legs?
It's all fun and games until you get
anyway,
in those martial arts, right? I just look at your leg and just kick it, and there you go. You're done.
The old toothpick legs, but strands of spaghetti hanging from the shorts. I don't know how your week's been, Cam, but it's been a funny old one here, and it's always a funny old week in my world. Crazy stuff always happening. Yeah, how's your week been?
Yeah, busy, crazy. You know what I mean? It's a crazy world, right? And this is why I think we need to, it's time to man up, right? I mean, there's a lot of decisions that need to be made at the moment. We really need to decide, where we're going, what we're doing. I mean, if you haven't worked out that society's crumbling and collapsing, like the old system is literally collapsing around us, right? It's everywhere. All the big businesses, everything. I mean, PayPal almost got taken down in one day from one post they put out. I mean, this is what's going on, right? So, where do you want to be? We talk a lot about the man and, men being, the protectors and providers. Well, is that what you're doing? If you keep doing what you're doing, if you're in a job, where will that be in a year? What if they bring the jabby jab mandates back? Are you gonna be in a position where you have to comply to some fat roly-poly dude who's just sitting in a chair telling you what to do? It's time to make decisions. Where do we want to go? What do we want to be? How do we want to impact the world, right? This is, I think, where the real men are at the moment. There's lots of yelling and screaming, and everyone's yelling at everyone, change the world, change the world. Well, change yourself, right? I want to change my world by you changing everything. Well, that's clearly not the way. When you change a man, you change the world. So a little story, there was this kid and he wanted to play with his dad, and his dad just had a couple of business calls, and the kid comes up, Dad, can we play now? And he's like, hang on, son, I've just, got 2 calls to make. I'll be with you in a minute. He goes, okay, runs away. Then he comes back, are you ready? And the dad goes, hang on a sec. And so he looks on the table and he sees a magazine, and it's got a picture of the world there. So he goes, okay, rips it out and he cuts it into about 5 or 6 pieces, gives it to the kid and says, tell you what, here's a jigsaw, go and make that. When you're done, I'll be ready to play. And the kid goes, okay, runs off. About 30 seconds later, the kid goes, done, I'm done. I've done it, Dad. And the dad goes, what the hell? How do you put together, the earth, a picture of the earth? So he goes across and he looks down and there's a picture of a man. And he says, oh, how'd you do that? And he said, oh, it was easy. He said, I just turned it over and there was a picture of a man. And when I put the man together, the world just fell into place.
Mm.
So it all starts with us. We can yell at the world to change, or we can, as they say, right, be the change you want to see. Just be that, like we were talking about last time, kids learn by mimicking. Everyone learns by seeing what kind of a person you are, not what you say you're going to be, not what you talk about being, but what you actually are, what you actually do.
Yeah, man. And when you talk about jobs and so forth, mate, I've had to get a job in a bar. I've been working a bar a few nights a week. And wow, what an experience, man. It's I've got to go in and put my hat on and act, just calm myself down, which is, which is just the way it has to be, mate, at the moment. But yeah, I'm certainly working towards something different for myself. I'm sick of the merry-go-round I've been on in my life, mate. So yeah, and I guess it's time for all of us to practice what we preach. I thought I was doing a good job, but I found myself in the last couple of years, mate, running around in circles, and I forgot about my path. And if I just stayed on my path, it would have been okay. I would have got through everything. But again, I got taken off my path, and things go wrong. Once you're off your path and you're not looking after yourself, guys, I just can't express how important it is to eat well, exercise, and get some damn sleep. I had my 5th child recently over that time where all this stuff went down, and man, I had no sleep, and I was helping someone, my partner, too much, and it was derogatory to me and my being. And man, I'm just training, sleeping, eating well, going back to the basics. And like, for anyone, it's good we're talking about this stuff, because I'm on the journey now. And if you just step, like, again, so I'm here to help. And if you're watching this and you're thinking it is time to change, Gaz is doing it. And just remember, this is always going on. Like, when you're setting goals and so forth, your goals are changing all the time, So my goals are different to what they were 6 months ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Especially at the moment, right? I mean, the world's changing so much. We have to be, that's another thing, right? We can't be fixed, right? We have to be able to move, go with the flow, right? Move, duck and weave, which comes down again to we need to be able to make decisions. When things happen, we need to be able to react and make a proper decision, not sit there like, oh, well, what does that mean? They're saying this, and before you know what's happened, you've been hit with a reset or something. So, this really is it's about getting back to our roles. I'm probably a white supreme pizza for saying this, but again, men are men and women are women, and we both are different, and we have roles. And when we're in those roles, which are our strengths and our traits, we support each other. As soon as we start going sideways, it all falls apart, right? And if you don't believe me, look at the divorce rate today, look at the divorce rate 50, 60 years ago, right? I mean, come on. That's clearly what they're teaching us in school, what they're teaching, the young people through everything, right? The media, the movies, the gaming, it's all detrimental to them. So, and that's another one, right? As a father, if your kids are spending too much time or spending time on the wrong sites and things, be a man, right? Reduce their hours. Don't take it off them. If kids love doing things, the worst thing you can do is take that away from them, because then you become the person who stole their dream or whatever they have, however they perceive it. But you definitely need to have a talk to them and explain why, and then reduce the hours. Give them something else to do. Explain, and that's what discipline is, right? I mean, what discipline comes from disciple, right? I mean, Jesus didn't walk around hitting his disciples, right? He sat and talked to them and try and make them understand. So I think that's another thing is discipline, for so long just turned into shut up, just do what I tell you, smack, right? And then now we've doesn't work at all. Now we've got damaged people everywhere.
Mate, I've got a 15-year-old daughter who her mother, the housing up here, I had my 2 sons living with me. They're 19 and 21, and my daughter was with her mum for a little while, but they have nowhere to live. So my daughter's back with me. I've got all the kids, and mate, a 15-year-old daughter. Wow. Yeah. And I've got a deaf daughter as well. So we've got, it's an interesting one. And times like, you know, where although they just want to be accepted in their little world. And mate, yeah, she wanted, like, just an example, she wanted to go to a party on the weekend where there was drinking and no parents, and I had to say no. And she cried and wouldn't talk to me for 2 days, and I stuck to my guns, mate. And then yesterday she came up to me and said, Dad, you know, I'm feeling a lot better. You know, we had a little chat. And yeah, and look, I talk to all my kids. See, the key I find, you know, you've got to be a dad, but you've got to be, I think you've got to be their friend, mate, as well. And it's a delicate role. It's a balance. You've got to know when to push and pull, you know, and yelling at your kids saying, do this, it just doesn't work. And they actually do the opposite.
I mean, it's funny, isn't it? Because really it's, you know, the whole process of you know, raising children is kind of a process of letting go, right? Like when you first get them, they need the most attention, the most, you know, everything. And as they get older, like every day they need less and less and less. And of course, until they leave home, right? And then the whole relationship changes to more of a sort of mentoring type thing. But what happens? What do most people do, right? Kids hit 15, 14, 15, 16, and the pressure starts building again, right? When they're trying to get their independence and learn who they are and get on their own feet and create their own world, everyone starts going, what are you doing? You need to do this, study hard. What are you going to do for a job? What are you going to do? Oh my God, blah, 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 blah. And these kids who are at this point where they're like, they should be excited to go out into the world and like explore and get into what they are interested in. It turns into this massive stressful thing to the point where there's a suicide epidemics and stuff in some countries around exams, final exams. I mean, this is, and we're supposed to be encouraging, and that's the point where you should be going, awesome, I did a good job. They're ready to go into the world. But I mean, look what we get, right? We get these small, little, tiny people who have achieved nothing that they're, you know, proud of themselves. So they try and push their lives onto their kids so they can walk around and go, oh, but my kids. And they end up destroying them. It's madness.
We're a lost society, mate. Well, you know, it's from the get-go, you know, the kids are schooled. They're taught to sit in their chairs for 8 hours a day. They leave school, they do these jobs, they get their mortgage. Mortgage means death pledge in Latin. And then you retire when you're aged and you've been eating shit food for 60 odd years and your body's crumbling and you're supposed to enjoy those last years of your life. Doesn't it sound interesting? Doesn't it sound beautiful, this reality?
It's great. 5 days getting weak. And then by the end of that, we're weakened, right? At the weekend. And then we get tired for 40 years. And after the 40 years, we get to be tired again when we retire.
Yeah. I love that one. They wake in the morning, you know. Oh, that's crazy, you know. And just like at a funeral, wake in mourning.
Which is, I mean, all these words, you know, which is starting to come out too, are things we need to pay attention to, especially when speaking to family, friends, partners, potential partners, whatever. You know, words are spells, right? Words have meanings. You know, all this.
Words are swords.
Yeah, they are, right? Yeah. You know, get a job, right? Get a job needs to turn into, how do you want to change the world? How do you want to be remembered, right? That's a much better question.
I know for myself, it's taken me a long time to realise what I really love and so forth, you know. And mate, for me, it is my music, and no matter what's happened, it's crazy, mate. Like I had to cancel a load of gigs that I had because I had anxiety problems, and I was not able to, because I wasn't able to practice enough because of other reasons. I was booking gigs and I was an anxious wreck. So I started having panic attacks. But I've had to cancel my gigs for a while. But Mate, it's interesting. Just like I've always doubted myself, and it's crazy where it comes from, mate. And it was a parent who told me that, that I couldn't sing 30 years ago or something. And it's just stuck with me. And mate, recently at work, they have open mic nights and stuff like this. And I sneakily brought my guitar in one night, and my boss and all that knew that I played. And they said, Gaz, play us a song. And I got up and played a song. Anyway, cut a long story short, it went down pretty well, mate. But what got me is about myself that I never knew. And I thought it's a real attribute. And I never thought it could be perceived like this. But these guys at the bar were talking, and I heard them talking about me. And one of them said to the other, yeah. And he just said, like, you're better off. This is a funny thing. Don't ever talk yourself up. Let other people do it.
Exactly right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this is what even at 45, I'm learning this, mate, because I was an egomaniac at 18. I was ready to tell everyone how good I was, and now I'm the complete opposite. But the interesting thing with this, it was beautiful to hear. This guy said to the other guy, he said, far out, I heard Gary play the other day. Did you hear him? He said, mate, he said, it was one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard. He said he plays guitar like Jimi Hendrix and sings like a bird or something like that.
Wow.
And the other guy said, and then the other guy said, and he's really modest. And I just thought, that's, you couldn't get a better rap than that, mate.
Exactly.
Be modest, and even now I'm about to set myself a new the next 2 months of gigs and book them and own it for the first time in my life. Not go to gigs doubting myself, thinking, am I good enough? Mummy said to me I wasn't good enough. Let's come on this journey with me, guys, is what I'm saying. Like, I'm reinventing myself too, I guess, at the moment. And this is the great thing about life, that we get this opportunity every day, to wake up and be a better version of ourselves. And that's, let's do it. Nike.
Indeed. And of course, all the music before and after this podcast are Gary Walton originals. So let him know what you think of his music in the comments, guys. But this is the thing, if you're doing something right, someone else is going to tell you. All right. And you don't need to tell anyone. Just spend your time getting better. And if no one says anything, get better until they do, right? Because, we all know,
that's it,
someone telling you that they're good or that they're going to do something, it means nothing, to the point where people laugh at those people. But like Gary said, when you do something and people give you, proper, honest feedback, that means everything, to the point where it can rewrite some programming. Because, no matter what we think, no matter how big and tough we are and hairy and all this kind of stuff, we've all got blocks, and they're all come from your mum and dad. I've got to tell you, right? We know 80% of everything we learn ever is learned before we're 5. Okay, that's your base thing. That's the way you see the world, all this stuff. So, if there's things triggering you or things that, are worrying you or giving you anxiety or whatever, try and work out what that is and then step it back a bit and see if you can find the origin of that. Why do I think that? Where did it come from? And when you do, you'll find that most of these things that we've been living with as a truth, someone's just said offhandedly, or it's an opinion, or we took it the wrong way, and there's actually nothing to it. But we've given it meaning and then lived into it. So this is a big thing we need to do, is just clear, right? It's like the statue is not finished when there's nothing more to add. The statue is finished when there's nothing more to take away.
Wow, they'll love that, mate. And that's a lot like songwriting. I can record a song and I just layer it and layer it and layer it, and you can ruin a song, And then the art of good song recording and writing and so forth is exactly what you said, mate, is leaving behind what's only needed.
And it's actually a really good technique too, because I'm the same with editing. You know, the more you edit, the more you can get rid of, the better the final product. But you know, lists are a good way, right? If you're trying to figure out, you know, just for example, what do I want? If you're a bit lost, what do I want to do? Write a list of 20 things that you want to do. Then cross 10 of them out. Then cross 3 of them out. Then cross another 2 of them out, and do it until you get down to 3, because you'll find when you've got to start choosing, if you're down to 7 and you've got to cross 4 of them off, and you're like, oh God, you know, whatever's left is actually, you'll realize that's okay. You've got to the heart of the problem, you know. And it's like life, right? We have all this crap around us. All we've really got to do is just get rid of it and just focus more on what we want.
Exactly, mate. And I'm going to be doing this too with you guys. So I really invite everyone, because I've got a list. Like I was doing this anyway. I've done it in the past, and trust me, when you're doing it, you watch things come together. And like I've said before, you literally, you know, whittling in the wind when you don't have a plan. And it's fine. Look, we all go
Fine
through.
if the wind's blowing the other way, but if it's blowing towards you,
exactly,
don't want it.
exactly, mate. You know, so if it's a windy day, don't do it. No. If the point I'm trying to make is, like, we all have, let's just say, we all have problems in our lives. We all have trauma. We've all had trauma. It's all right to go through periods too where you really take that on and work through it. Again, eating well, exercising and sleeping are going to be things that get you through that, and meditating. There's just a few little things. All I'm saying is it's okay to have those times and accept it, because the only way you're going to get, again, sometimes you've got to go right down low before you can get back up again.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, if you find yourself, you are, you know, I guess, depressed, because that's a real issue, mate. And
Yeah.
a lot of young guys,
Yeah.
a lot of friends of friends and young kids that I know personally have committed suicide within the last year. You know, I've got kids, mate, a teenage daughter who's, you know, I don't want to talk about my family too much, but yeah, I've got kids that are, you know, it's a tough time.
Yeah. I'd love to get into this topic more, but I mean, unfortunately, as you all know, we can't really broach a lot of these topics. So I'm sitting here thinking, you know, we might have to look at, I mean, because with all this stuff, we don't, you know, we want to get out, we want to be able to talk, right, and get some real, you know, truth and facts and information out to people that they can use. You know, so maybe we need to look at you know, doing some more private kind of videos or live chats, Zoom meetings with people, something like that. You know, because with everything, you know, Gary's been saying, I'm sitting here listening, again. So guys, you know, if you're into that, if you want us to do something, maybe get somewhere together where it's uncensored, you know, off YouTube, where we can talk and get into stuff and not be, you know, be able to actually give full information, let us know in the comments, because that's definitely something that we'll do. As Gary said, you know, he's committed to this, so I might. And guys, we have no plan. This is our podcast too. You know, Gary and I, you know, we've done quite a few interviews together now. You know, we've got similar interests. We've got a fairly similar story of what's gone on over the last, you know, year or two, which we'll get into in later episodes. But we just decided we wanted to do something, right? We decided, look, we're going through this. No doubt there's a lot of men out there that are as well. You know, we've got questions, no doubt other people do. And we just feel that we've got something to give, and that's all we're trying to do, right? So if you've got any suggestions, you know, of how to improve that, just let us know, because, you know, this is an evolving thing, right? It's going to turn into whatever is most needed and most used, basically. So come on for the ride, you know, let us know. Do you like this stuff?
Yeah.
Can we do more? What do you want to see more of? And yeah, you know, are you interested in maybe something that's you know, private, right? More private, where we can, you know, really start to broach these topics, because yeah, as soon as we talk about health, you know, the bots start circling.
That's right. And mate, that's something I think Campbell and I are really passionate about is helping people. And if we can do one-on-ones, for example, or whatever it is, if you've got ideas, let us know. But we're certainly, there's I think those some Zoom meetings that we can really harness information and
I'm just trying to think, but we'll have to have a look into it. I mean, see what sort of platform sort of would work, but let us know, guys. Anyway, and we'll look into that as well, because the main thing we want is for this. We want to make a difference, right? We just don't want to be sitting here talking and going, yay, we got views and comments and nothing happened, right? This is more about getting actual change happening, and we don't really care too much about, we'd rather have 1,000 people watch and 200 people change their lives than 100,000 people watch and no one do anything, if you know what I mean.
That's it, mate. And look, we can both speak from personal experience. It's fine for, other guys online that I don't really get online much these days or anything, but I know that, all these young guys trying to help people and with their programs and doing these combat fitness things, and it's all good, but a lot of it, they still don't know where they're living or what they're living on, or, and like I've said before, if your foundations are off, you're going to eventually, the building's going to collapse. So the difference between Cam and, and myself and anyone else trying to help people, I think is, we are direct realists, and we have a good understanding of, I guess being autodidactic means you're always open to information, and we take on so much, and I think having a good understanding of where we are, what we're on, and even if we might be off, at least we know that what we've been told is a bloody lie. So, I think having an understanding of his story as well, all this sort of stuff, mate, that, if you're a conscious person, then we can help.
And that's changed a lot, hasn't it, recently? And I mean, just on what you said to start with, this whole, movement, which has kind of come in, I guess, since the 90s, of people with no skills, no life experience, and nothing to show, are teaching people things. Right? Back in the, we'll take self-help, right? That sort of kicked off back in late 40s, 50s, really. And what it was people, men in their 50s and 60s, who had basically achieved everything they'd ever wanted to. They'd done it. And people started asking them, how did you do this? Or can you come and talk here? And people got them into it. That's how that started. And then they would say, oh, I did this. And they basically started telling people, well, this is how I was successful with money. This is how I was successful with my relationship. That's how it started. Then we hit the 90s, and we get this flood of people, young people, who sit there and read books, no life experience, nothing. They get excited and they go, I'm going to make a course, right? And then these people end up becoming, rich or wealthy or whatever, famous, because they're selling other people's ideas. They've never done it themselves. The way they made the money was selling the book, telling you how to do it. They've never done it. And same with a 25-year-old guy who's whatever, right? Ripped as or jacked as. You don't know what he's going to be like when he's 40. What if he's got no joints left in his body because he's doing the wrong thing? Right? If that's a 50-year-old dude who's sitting there and he's strong and fit and healthy, that dude's doing the right stuff because he's proven it. So this is another thing we've got to do. I mean, and start listening to men, not boys. Because I'm sorry, if you're under 21 or under 25, you're a boy. You've got no life experience at all. You don't.
No.
You've got nothing.
Trying to advise other people on what to do, and it's quite funny.
It's a big thing, and just one more point is, we don't want to tell you what to do, how to do it. We just want to give you some life experiences and hopefully help you, make you think. Right, that's it. Because you've got to come up with your own answers for your life, because it's your life. We don't know what you want. We don't know what's best for you, but hopefully together we can all help each other and get better questions, right? And if we get better questions, then we get a better quest.
Exactly. There's a young guy recently who was getting a lot of airtime. I don't want to say his name, that we've spoken about, who I think they shut his bank accounts down and all sorts of stuff because he was speaking some truth, but again, the way this guy presented himself, I think he's smoking cigars in interviews and just the ego, that's what we're not. Just to make it clear, like these guys are out there proclaiming truth and all this sort of stuff. It's all ego based. That's not us. I've done other channels which have been censored and so forth, and that's not the intention here at all. This is, we're really trying to keep our information just so nothing gets taken down, really. It's been down that path, and
it sucks. Yeah, you've either got to play the game or you've got to go somewhere else. So, and we're going to keep obviously putting content up on YouTube because this is where most people, it is still the biggest platform. But yeah, we may have to sort of get some extra, right? Some sort of deeper dives and whatever, right? We've got Rumble, Odyssey, things like that we might be able to look at, or but definitely let us know, because we don't want to just be another voice, right? Because there's so many voices out there, right? And then, another point, just so I can rant a bit more, all these self-helpy type people, the big, I won't mention any names, but you all know them, the big gurus who sell out stadiums and charge people 5 and 10 grand each. Where have all these people been in the last 2 years? All these people teaching you self-empowerment. It's all about the individual. You can do anything. Where are they? Where's any of them? Okay, and along with that, all these big tough male men, right, up on stage making movies, singing songs. Where are they all? Right, we're not going to take it, Twisted Sister. Well, now you can't go to their concert unless you did take it. It's ridiculous. So all this stuff, what I'm trying to say, I guess, is we've been given, whatever you want, idols, heroes, whatever you want to call it. We've had people put up in front of us, right, as examples of what to be. And we're seeing now that they're all complete shills. They're not men. They are manufactured actors, whatever, musicians who are being told what to do. Okay, which means that they're not men. They're little children who are selling out to get a few trinkets. And so back to that, and it's ego, right? And this whole ego thing, when we get down to it, if you need to be standing in front of a Ferrari to have enough self-value to go out and say, hey, look at me, I'm cool. Well, you got no self-value because what happens when you lose your money? You're nothing, right?
That's it.
So a man can lose everything and he's still a man and he can get it back. A shill and someone who's fake will lose everything, and they'll destroy them. It'll take, because that's all they are, right? That's all they are.
See, real men see real lies with their real eyes because we realize the lies. Tongue twister, but that's the reality. And real men have the ability to decipher what the hell's going on around them. And, this is where I really we're going to have to set up something where we can talk freely, which is
I know,
because a bit frustrating. But, mate, one thing I thought, let's have a bit of a laugh before we...
all right, yes. I know it's been a little bit serious today, hasn't it, Gaz?
But that's that's another thing that I just thought was funny recently, mate, that a friend of mine came up and met me who I haven't seen for a while, and we've known each other for ages, and she was sitting next to me and goes, Gaz, she goes, do you wear deodorant? And I went, no. And she came a bit closer and went, oh, sexy. I'm not saying go out reeking, have a bit of, you got to wash.
Or streaking.
But, all this, again, mate, these men have lost, they've got the shave your nuts, these ball shavers. You've got
what the hell is with those ads and those nuts? Oh God, that's and they've always got these gorgeous young girls on there like, oh, I love men without ball hair. God, I don't know.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Let us know in the comments, girls. Do you?
The whole do you? prefer a bald or hairy
Baldy,
or
baldy.
bad. We'll edit that.
Yeah, this
Funny.
is the thing,
But
right?
yeah, it's just interesting, mate. Again, that's just a perfect example that women are attracted to real men
It's pheromones.
like, and then I was talking to this guy at the gym about this earlier, and he goes, "Oh, that's a classic, Gaz." He goes, "You're right. My misso," he goes, "when I get home from work, she's just all over. She loves it." I'm going,
Yeah, right. Well, there you go. But I mean, and that makes sense, right? Because that's the smell of a man who does something, right? You only sweat if you're out there working and doing something and actually creating something. But of course, all this is a new thing, and this has kind of been coming in, 10 years, not a bit more. They've been starting to bring in the men's, bathroom mix of deodorants. Now it's getting into makeup and facial stuff. The men's, what do they call? Oh, it's aftershave. That's right. It's aftershave. It's not perfume. No, it's perfume with a different name as to cover who you really are, right? And so then no wonder it's confusing. We've got all these senses we've been given so that we can find out a suitable partner. And what do? We mask all the senses, and then we go out and everyone's just walking around going, "What the hell? Oh, I'll just take you. Oh crap, that was a wrong decision." I mean, all these things are there for a reason. So guys, no manscaping, I don't think. And
mate, not like that sweat of the guy who you smell on the street is obviously
we're not saying don't
been drinking the day before, or he's been on the piss for a week and he reeks, and he's you can smell the beer coming through his skin.
That's a good point.
That
well, it's another good point is the reason, if you were unhealthy and bad lifestyle and you wouldn't smell good to women. This is also what's been given up, is that you're a strong, healthy man. So if you look after yourself, then you'll, and again, right, like we said before, you don't need to go looking. If you're looking for a girl, well, maybe just go and do a workout and then cruise into the bar for a beer afterwards and see what happens. Like maybe not for a beer, maybe going for a squash or lemon lime bitters, water. Something like that.
Well, mate, what happens when you're exercising? You don't want to drink as much either. Like I do enjoy an organic red wine. That's my vice. I have a couple of reds at night. But again, it's got to be organic, and there's no preservatives in that. So just
I think anything in moderation.
Use your brain. I reckon. Even a little. If I'm going to have a drink, I'll have if I did go to a bar with a girl or something, which is going to happen a little bit more these days, then it'll be a gin and soda.
Ooh. We are getting very flat pack.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Good.
If you enjoy a drink, have a drink, just don't have 10. It's just everything in moderation, I mean, because no one looks good drunk. No one sounds good drunk. No one feels good the next morning. So, you can enjoy two drinks, right, and have a good time. You can't really enjoy much more than that because you start forgetting and you wake up feeling crap. So, everything in moderation, right? You wouldn't go to McDonald's and sit there and go, I really enjoyed that hamburger. I think I might have 10 more. You wouldn't do that. So
you just wouldn't go to McDonald's in the first
hopefully
place,
you wouldn't just
I drive my new thing now. I drive around just filming unhealthy people on the street. It's fun. I just drive and I pull the phone out and just laugh, and I'm like, wow. And that's what I'm saying. Like I said to someone the other day, a friend of mine, it's not even hard to look good anymore. Like people go, because everyone else looks so shit.
They look.
If you look after yourself, like it's like unusual.
Yeah, if you just do a few little things like, drink a lot of water every day and don't eat junk food and crap, and get a bit of just those little things, get a bit of exercise, think for yourself. Yeah. I mean, by the time you hit, our wise, our knowing ages, our ripe young ages, you'll still, you look better than everyone else, right? Who just over time, every week they ate a chocolate bar in McDonald's and you didn't. Imagine what the results of that over 20 years are. So it's just the little things that make differences.
Well, when you cut that out too, if you cut the sugar out, wow, it's pretty much instantaneous. The body, like I think a lot of people out there, if they're honest with themselves, probably, even a couple of cans of soft drink a week are gonna make a difference.
God, don't say that. I don't drink soft drink.
Yeah, man.
But I may have sugar in my coffee, and I may drink too much coffee. So
have a bit of honey.
I know, right? I should. I started that, and
just use honey, darling.
Oh, okay, honey.
Yeah, man. Get into the honey. It's better for you, and even get a real good honey. Like a.
What do they call it? There's
you'll enjoy your tea more, man.
Yeah, that's what I need, is to go and find some proper WA made honey. And with everything, just stay away from anything processed if you can. Cook your own, eggs, try and get them from farms, people all that kind of stuff. Obviously, just shop at the supermarkets as least as you can, and you'll also save money, right? This is another thing. If you cook meals rather than buying them pre-made, you'll save money, you'll save your health. It's that one little act has massive, repercussions.
They're just even the oils they're using, cheap oils in takeaway places, mate, and all that stuff. They're cooking, even if you're getting a veggie meal, they're cooking it with meat that are off the same, out of the same.
Yeah, all these fast food. Yeah, exactly right.
So all that energy is, and look, I'm guilty of it, mate. It's so funny. Like I heard Santos say recently something funny, like, someone who's does all the practices he does, and he's like, mate, I'm not even sure if I'll make it out of, to heaven or whatever it is. And I thought the same thing. I thought, you know what, I'm on that much of a journey that, like, yeah, I'm doing my best, and I'm really, but at the end of the day, will I make it to the next? I don't know. Maybe I'll bloody have to come back again and do it all again.
Exactly. But what are you going to do? Nothing. If you do nothing, you're definitely coming back, right? And probably a lot than you are now.
Yeah.
So we're all eternal, right? We know this. This whole death thing is. I was talking to someone the other day, and they were saying that's why the old world could achieve so much more, is that they didn't see the end of their life as the end of their life, right? They didn't see death as, so they would make plans for hundreds or thousands of years. They would make plans that went way beyond their lifetimes, and that's why they could get these massive things done, right? Because they didn't see it as, I'm here, I'm Cambell or I'm Gary, I've got one life, then I'm gone. They saw it as, I'm an eternal spirit. At the moment, I'm in this body, and I'll do this, and then when I leave that body, I'll get another one, and I'll continue my work. Right, so that they were looking at long term. So it's everything. Like, we know, right? This whole program has just got us seeing everything wrong, right? Perceiving everything wrong, and of course, when we see it wrong, then we're going to interact with it wrong. So it's kind of what this all is just trying to ask questions, look at things a bit differently, work them out for yourself, right? Stop asking, the outside world for the answer, and stop judging as well is another big thing. Is, men don't judge. Men don't start crying, if someone's, calls them a name or says that their football team sucks. They don't judge those as good or bad. They go, oh, well, whatever, maybe not. Because once you start defining things as good or bad and judging them, they're definite. You can no longer learn from them. Right? If you judge whatever as bad, well, you're never going to look into it again. And if you judge it as good, you're going to be triggered every time someone says it's bad. So maybe you can just go, it's interesting. Everything's a dichotomy, right? And so I'm not saying don't have strong morals and things. We definitely need to know who we are and stand by those, but in general, with information. Because there's no black and white, right? There just isn't.
I think what you're trying to say, mate, is just be autodidactic. After all that,
Get
And one
real.
thing I think is, well, mate, when you say get real, this is what I want to say, and we've touched upon our last episode, where have all the real men gone and all that. But I want to just say how important, you've got to understand that history is a lie. You've got to understand what's happened over the last few hundred years, and when you get that, then it's going to help everything else, real men embrace information and can decipher truth from a story that's been given to us.
Yeah. It's like, if you don't know, I have another channel, Autodidactic. Go ahead and subscribe and find out about history, right? The story, his story, not our story. And once you realize that it's not our story, then you're like, oh crap, maybe I need to start building my own, right? But also, we get a lot of people that get triggered. We say, well, we've looked into this part of history and it's not true, and people lose their minds. Now, they don't lose their minds because they've gone and studied the subject and the question for 8 hours and they've got all the answers and then come back and gone, what you've said is wrong. Look, here's all my factual information. They don't do that. They just lose their mind because what we say is not what they believe. And this is what we talk about. These are people who yell at the world, change, and unless you change, I can't be happy. Do you really think you can change 8 billion people? I think not. Much better to go to the mirror and go change, because that you can actually do that. So if you're getting triggered at all, guys, and this is, these people get triggered, they've judged, right? They've judged the history in the books is true, and that's why they get triggered, because they can't go, well, it's interesting, maybe it's right, maybe it's not. It has to be true or it has to be wrong. So that's what I meant with judgment and judging things.
It's so important. And yeah, very awesome channel, mate, of yours, Autodidactic and Autodidactic 2. For everyone out there, get over there, subscribe. You'll see all Cambell's awesome work and how important it is to understand the past and how cool an ancient civilization living here only a few hundred years ago.
I know, right? I mean, it's good, yeah. Who wants to stay with the boring old narrative? Bloody hell.
If you want to act like a caveman, that's fine. But you're not, it's not going to serve you very well in this reality. You're just going to live the boring old get a job, pay your mortgage and die lifestyle. What surprised me so much about Tartaria and that ancient civilization is we don't know much about it, but the ability to build like they did and so forth, geez, they must have been in it together, and just totally different setup to what we have. And that's why I think that we're a little bit lost as men, because we've got when we don't know our real history. We've been given this, you get married, you do this, you get a woman, you have kids, you do that, you do this. So, mate, as it's no surprise as men we're a little lost.
It is. And now, we've put up that, the real men, the men you want to be, the successful men, wear suits and sit in offices all day long, or they pretend to be someone else for their whole career, right?
Yeah. Any success, like that's why I've always laughed at that word, because they just suck the cesspool.
Yeah. I was going to say, back in the day, look at the heroes back in the day, right? Big, strong, hairy warriors, workers, farmers, not bloody pudgy bald dudes sitting in an office.
Driving Ferraris.
Yeah, telling everyone else what to do that they can't do themselves.
Mate, I drive a Toyota Echo for any of the girls out there.
Oh, girls, there you go. Get onto him. I think he's got some photos of him in his Echo on Instagram.
Yep. But yeah, no, long gone are the days. Like, I had an Audi and it blew up, and I thought, I just had an old bomb here that was my kid's car. And I thought, you know what, this is my little test clothes. So it's like, I'm just going to cruise around in this and just see what happens, because it's funny because people look at you so differently, man, and take me so differently. It's so interesting when you just go from a nice blue nice car to a shit box. It's funny.
I always wanted like a really, really nice car that was fast and, really good, nice inside and really good mechanics, but just looked crap. Just, like all the paint just smashed, dented in things, so it just looks like a heap, but you get in it, it's actually a really cool car.
Yeah, it's interesting. Mate, when I had my pub in England when I was young, I had a pub in England when I was 26. 26. Me and my first wife bought a pub over there.
Wow.
And
Pub.
Yeah, one of the guys, he's a multi-millionaire, and he used to drive around in this absolute shitbox, bro. And he got off on it. That was his thing. He was like, I love it. He goes, they don't know. He's got
You don't have to talk to all these pretentious
It actually had a
people,
smash
right?
window. Yeah, smash window. And like, he just didn't give two hoots.
Do you know that the most commonly owned vehicle by a millionaire is a ute?
Wow.
Yeah, because you think about it, how many millionaires out there are there that we will never see or hear of? That's like 95% of them, right? Because most people who are successful don't need the actor, they don't need, people to tell them they're okay, right? So they just live their lives. And they're to be a millionaire, it means they're workers, right? If you're doing stuff, you need a ute. Right, you just do, right? Come on. If you're going to do any kind of work and you've got the money, that's your second car, because you can haul things, you can pick things up, you can throw things in. They're just so useful. So the vast majority of millionaires are actually people who are just out there working and they're successful. They don't have to show you they got a Ferrari. They don't have to say, look at me, am I okay? They just live their lives and they are successful. And then people tell them, oh, wow, you're successful. They don't need to run around going, look, I'm successful, because they're actual men who've done it themselves.
I think for me, mate, it depends what you want, set your goals and so forth. For me, a lot of, happiness is just so important for me these days, mate, and I've spent too much of my life, I don't think I've been an unhappy person at all, but, I think I've been just going on to paths that weren't for me, Anyway.
We didn't get happier. We got more serious again.
Wow, we can't help ourselves. But on that note, till next week, legend, and have a good week, brother. And yeah, we'll have a good episode next week with a little bit more planning and looking forward to it.
We shall. So thanks for joining us, guys and gals. Stay awesome. Give us a like, a comment, share this around, and we'll talk to you all on the next podcast. And enjoy the music. Bye for now.
I always thought it was up to me to make a difference. Means nothing to sheep. Fooled by the love of the government's hugs. I'm kissed by the one, she's the sun from above. Ain't it funny in a room full of test ya? Making money for the moon, I bet ya. Ain't it funny I'm your groom and I get ya? I'd see best when I see she's wet now. If I had the chance I'd swim oceans and sing. Slap a smile from your face, you got nothing to bring. Two hands, great flick, thanks Heath Ledger. Elixir on election. I will, I won't ever be that man, ever be that man again. I will, I won't ever be that man, ever be that man again. Now I know that it's up to me to make a difference. Mine's like a sheep, not fooled by the government's hugs. Need a fast life, love like doves. Not fooled by the government's direction. Can't blame, don't give me erection. Might sound mean, but I think I see ya talking stranger, no danger.
Moment for a second, then I lose my concentration. If rumors were religion, then I'd be the confirmation. I intend to get my sights set on using information to connect the chosen people to this soulful inspiration. There are no limitations when you're living from the heart, shining light into the darkness with the art as we embark on an instrumental mission, stepping on a peaceful path, knowing where we come from, letting you know who we are.
I won't ever be that man, ever be that man again. I won't ever be that man, ever be that man again. I won't ever be that man, ever be that man again. I won't ever be that man, ever be that man again. I won't ever be that man, ever be that man again. I won't ever be that man, ever be that man again.
Why can't you hear Cambell
Wow.
go to the toilet? Because the P is silent. Well, actually, it's not. There's no P.
I just thought
I
you
can't go to the toilet.
Oh, I just go on the side of the bowl.
Yeah. Too much information. And talk about that. Why do they always put toilet at the back of the house, and then everyone goes and puts like their outdoor entertaining area right outside the toilet? Everyone's out there having a good time. Someone needs to do a crap, and they're like, "Great, where do I go? I've got to do a big splash out," and everyone's out there and they're going to hear me. It's just not good thinking, is it? When you know, come on, guys, we need toilet to be redesigned.
Well, toilets are an interesting thing, man. When I was building my house, I didn't have a toilet, and I don't know if you've ever gone to the toilet without a toilet.
I've been to the lodge.
Like squatting. Wow, it's a different experience.
Oh,
Like when you're seated.
the number two squat. Yeah.
Number two.
Yeah, you don't want to do those on top of sand hills, sand dunes.
What's happened to this podcast?
I don't know. It's deteriorating, right?